CHRISCLYMER. It's slash laptop underscore honeypots. And
Working? Okay. Go to slides. You can look at the slides, chrisclimber.com/laptop_honeypots. That'll work if you got a laptop. The concept here, I guess I'll have to be a lot more brief. The whole idea behind this talk was basically me realizing that securing your laptop the way I was going about it, and most of us go about it, is kind of dumb. You spend a lot of time setting really difficult to crack passwords, encrypting your partitions on your hard drive, doing all kinds of things to protect the data that's on your drive. And if you were to, say, leave your laptop lying out here and some unscrupulous person picked it up and ran off with it, they probably aren't going to care that much about the data that's on it. They care about the money they can get out of the laptop. So all the time you've spent securing whatever you had on it doesn't get you your laptop back. Basically, you're screwed. So I've read a few articles about people that kind of through chance were able to get their laptop back. A guy, stroke of luck, had Timbuktu running on his laptop and managed to catch the guy going online through a dial-up connection, get back into his computer over that, see the phone number the guy was calling from, and actually tracked him down and got his laptop back because of that. Incredibly, incredibly lucky, but what if we could do something to make luck go a little more our way? So the idea is basically, I don't want the thief to wipe my laptop. I want him to use it. I want to keep him using it, look around. You know, if a thief boots up my Linux laptop and sees what looks to him like DOS and a password that, you know, he can't just hit enter and go through and get to Windows, yeah, he's not going to bother messing around to figure out how to get through it. He's going to just wipe it. If you got physical access, it's you know, trivial. So what we're going to do, we can have all that security on our actual data if we want, but we want the thief to make him think he's using something a lot less secure. So what we're going to do is give him Windows. I'm not running Windows, but I'm going to give the thief Windows. I'm going to give him Windows full of all kinds of goodies. You know, be creative, fill it up with text files, with fake financial documents, fake users and passwords, maybe even for kicks, set up some Hotmail accounts and Gmail accounts and have actual users and passwords for those on the desktop there for him to dig around with. Install a bunch of software that looks attractive to him. Basically anything I can do to make him hopefully get on the internet from the machine and just spend as much time as possible on it. The way that we're going to find him and make this worth our while, one, the OS we're giving him, it's not really our OS. We're going to run Windows in emulation on top of Linux. We're going to make him not know that we're running Windows in emulation on top of Linux. And we're going to watch everything he's doing from underneath. We're going to watch, for our Linux install is going to watch what he's doing in Windows the whole time. If you're looking at slides, I have a nice picture of basically what's going on. There will be, you have your machine. Within it, you're going to partition. You have your regular Linux partition. And we're going to create a really slim Linux install. All this Linux install needs to do is be able to run the QEMU emulation software and be able to run whatever tools you want to watch him with. You know, Ettercap, Snort, whatever you choose to use to track what he's doing, and that's left up to you. There's plenty of different things out there you can watch network traffic and so on with. Your basic Unix tools to shell script this. The big things we're using here in combination are some unique things with the Grub bootloader, with the Linux boot splash project, and the QEMU emulation software, and basic Unix shell scripting. And the second partition, the slim one I just mentioned that you're going to run QEMU in, it needs to be just big enough for your Slim Linux install, for whatever you're going to watch your attacker with, and for whatever you're going to have within Windows on that slim partition. Basically, when the attacker gets your machine, this is what's going to boot up. It's not going to touch your actual partition with all your real data in it at all. And part of how we keep them from knowing what's going on is Grub. It's not officially part of Grub, but most distros have it. Debian, I know, has it. Several others likely do as well. There's a patch for it that lets you put a nice, pretty image up. When you boot up the Debian installer, you get a nice, pretty Debian logo, that kind of thing. That's all good and nice, but I don't want anything pretty. All I want is just a solid black screen, nothing going on. I messed around with ways of making Grub look like the Windows boot up and things like that, and I found the most efficient thing was just hide Grub altogether. So you create an image that's totally black. It's got to be a 640 by 480 image. Grub can't do anything bigger than that. It's got to be 14 color indexed, and it's got to be an XPM file. And you gzip that, put that in your Grub directory. You config Grub to use that. The actual syntax is all in the slides. And you also set all of your menus in Grub to be totally black. So when you boot it up, you totally black screen. The only way you're going to boot up your Linux install, press the down arrow. Press the down arrow, you boot up your stuff. By default, it's going to boot up the fake Linux install, and from there, boot up QEMU. You want to set the timer long enough that you can hit the arrow key and get to your install, but not so long that they're sitting there staring at a black screen for a long enough time to start getting suspicious, think there's something wrong with the machine or whatever. One of the things that helps us here is a lot of people are used to machines that are full of junk and take forever to boot up. They're probably going to be a little patient with the fact that their Windows is taking a little while to boot up and probably not think anything real weird is going on. The next thing that we want, obviously, once you get past Grub, you boot up Linux, so you got all kinds of messages that are scrolling by. Maybe our attacker just thinks, oh, well, this is some kind of DOS stuff or whatever, but we'd rather not have them see that. That's where the Boot Splash project comes in. That, if you have used SUSE, they use it. A lot of the commercial distros use it to make their boot up look nice and slick. That's the stuff where when you boot up, press F2 to see all of the messages. If you don't press it, you see a little lizard animation, whatever SUSE has, whatever your distro has. What we're going to do, though, is make that look like Windows. You create an animation that's supported by the Boot Splash, just like they created their little lizard, except ours, in my case, Windows 2000, the simple little white screen with the very basic animation going across the bottom, which sometimes will go on for a very, very long time. This is going to go on while the Linux kernel is booting up. So they're not going to see any messages. They're also not going to see press F2 to do anything with this. They're just going to see what looks like the Windows boot up. And there's, on the slides, there's more technical details as far as the syntax and things. The technical details really aren't the important thing here, though, so much as the concept of what we're doing, in my opinion. I mean, the information's easy to find as far as the technical nitty-gritty in all the slides. For the Boot Splash, you have to patch your kernel. It works best with the 2.6 kernels. And you need their user space utilities to make it work. And you need to take the time to create your own little animation, which I will put mine up on the website. It's not there right now, but it will be up there. Beyond this, what we have is we need to set up QEMU. If you're not familiar with QEMU, QEMU is basically, it's like VMware, virtual PC, those kinds of products. Difference being, it's open source for the most part and free. So within your distro, in Debian apt-get it, download the source, compile it, again easily available. Once you have it installed, you are going to create a Windows image. And in my case, I've made like a 4 gig image. The nice thing about the image is, you create a 4 gig image, you're not immediately sucking up 4 gigs of your hard drive. You'll have the ability to use no more than 4 gigs. It's going to be used up as you fill up that Windows OS. So, you're kind of containing the damage that can be done there too. You boot up QEMU. The syntax is in the slides. Boot up QEMU to boot off your CD-ROM, boot off an ISO for a Windows installer, whichever you choose to have available. Boot it up, do your standard Windows install, and as mentioned, try to fill it with fun, tasty stuff for your attacker. Financial documents, passwords, whatever seems like it will keep them there for you. Again, be creative. The more that you've got there, the more time you put into it, the more time they will hopefully spend there and not spend wiping your drive. Within your Linux partition, the new Slim partition we created just for the purposes of this, you need to make an addition to your startup scripts, however your distro does so, to boot up QEMU and the Windows image within QEMU as early as we can within the process, and have that be booting up while we've got our little Windows stuff going by. There is going to be a seeming glitch to the user where they're going to have been seeing a Windows animation, black screen will flash by, and then they're going to see the real Windows startup. My experience is the kind of person who's probably going to run off with my laptop and try and put it on eBay, and not know what Linux is that I was worried about in the first place, probably is not going to think much about that glitch. It could probably be done better, but for our purposes, I think it will work. And we also want to add entries to our startup scripts on the new Linux install to watch what's going on, Ettercap, Snort, whatever it is you'd like to run to watch the network activity. The idea is basically log what they're doing, look for anything that's interesting, just like you would on any other network, and have the script look to see if it is connected to the internet, and if it is, send that information back to us as often as possible. If we're lucky, maybe they'll be on dial-up, we'll get their phone number, maybe we'll get the logins to their Gmail account, who knows? It's kind of a crapshoot, but we're hoping to just improve our chances of getting lucky. And what I think I skipped past. No, I didn't. Set up Grub to make sure the first entry in Grub is the fake Linux install that boots up Windows. Second entry is our real Linux install. So all our stuff is still here. We're just going to take up, at the most, another 4 or 5 gigs of the hard drive set aside for these purposes. If you've got a decent sized hard drive, that's not that much. If you want to be honest about it, you could probably do Windows 2000 and your Slim Linux and everything, in just a couple of gigs. I'm just trying to be on the safe side with the 5. As far as the downsides to all this, there's a lot of work going on here to do all this. Is it worth your time? Probably not. There's a lot of inconvenience here. A lot of time and effort put in this for basically hoping to get lucky. We're pretty much just crossing our fingers. And realistically speaking, there's a good chance that somebody that steals my laptop is not even going to put it on the internet in the first place. They're going to take it home, maybe boot it one time, maybe just immediately take out the hard drive and reformat it, or try to boot off a CD, or whatever method they prefer to do to try and get the thing ready to put on eBay. We're hoping to get lucky. The upside is we might get our laptop back. Yeah, this is a whole lot of